Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Fantastic. Thank you.
Good evening. Being that it's Tuesday, January 24th at 6:30, I call this council meeting to order with a quorum present. One member has been excused. We will start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. Are you ready? Okay, we're ready to take roll.
There are 10 voting members present.
Thank you. Item number 3 is proclamations. They're in your packet. We have Lunar New Year, Wisconsin Salt Awareness Week, Black History Month, National Children's Dental Health Month, and Transit Equity Day. And you can read those at your pleasure. We now come on to our presentation. We have a Granite House update with Mike Frankel.
On Granite House. A lot of you may have been familiar with the last clubhouse in the Wausau community called Community Club Clubhouse. I was a manager and it was closed in October, and I made it a mission of myself, along with the members, that I was going to promise to try to open up something in the future. And things are coming to fruition a lot quicker than I thought. So I met with Mayor Rosenberg last week, and she encouraged me to come here to present to you and the community on what's going on. So what's going on is, what is Granite House? So what Granite House is, it's a clubhouse model program. It's a psychosocial rehab program. We serve adults. We will serve adults 18 and older with a persistent mental illness or AODA issues. And then staff engage with members to realize their potential by providing them with the clubhouse where they can meet friends, build confidence, learn skills. So basically we're going to be having what we had in Wausau, only it's going to be our own. And then how clubhouses work is membership is voluntary and without time limits. So we still have many, many members that are reaching out to me, and we have a Facebook group with over 200 members. That includes community members and members of the past clubhouse. So the members are what make clubhouse happen. They need us, and they need to belong and feel needed again. And they need the community to want this back. So just some pictures. So Clubhouse being an international model I have on here, it started in 1948 in New York City. It was with one person, his name was Michael. I don't know if that means anything because my name is Michael. But he got tired of what we know as the revolving door syndrome of ending up in the hospital, receiving treatment, being discharged back in the community, and then ending up back in crisis care. And he started gathering other people. They formed a group called WANA, which stood for We Are Not Alone. They met on the library steps. in New York City, and people started asking him, how can we help, what can we do? And eventually Clubhouse was born, and now there's over 300 clubhouses in 30 countries around the world, so being an international model. I should have grabbed my cheater glasses. So what we'll offer is a safe place for our members to come again and build healthy relationships, work on employment-related skill building, get them work, help them with entitlements, Social Security, disability, or refer them out to where they need to be in the community to meet their needs. So we are focusing on being a self-sustaining clubhouse, which means we are not going to be affiliated in any way, shape, or form with an hospice agency, like we were with North Central Healthcare. So we'll be able to set our own parameters based on clubhouse standards, be able to do our own fundraising, our own grant writing, and it'll all be for the members. And basically that safe haven for people again in our community. So the Wausau community and surrounding area needs this clubhouse back. Lots of people were devastated when the last one closed, and I did, and we did whatever we could to get it to keep it sustainable. And based on Chapter 5142 board regulations in the state, North Central didn't have to mandatorily operate it or be mandated to run it. So, and there was a lack of funding, and we had no way to raise what the funding was needed at that time, so that's why it was closed. And that last clubhouse was around for 26 years. So I think it's, we were the only program of North Central Healthcare back in the day that was open through the entire pandemic, but we didn't receive any COVID emergency relief funding. We didn't get any really support of the hospice agency. So that's what ended up mainly for it closing. And then we realized the value and need, to have this clubhouse back in the community to serve those that have mental health issues and concerns. So what have we done to this point? At the last county board meeting, the Health and Human Services Board meeting, when I made this, I got called up and got asked to speak. We were already kind of working on what the future was going to look like and what were we going to do to help members. And one of our members had come up with a name. We were doing kind of a name game. And she came up with Granite House. So I really like that name. Granite is a hard rock. It's what Marathon County is based on. And so we named it Granite House. And that name has been registered with the state of Wisconsin. It's an LLC, so it's a real business name. We have written bylaws and submitted our paperwork to the state and the IRS for our 501. We actually just got our paperwork returned this week, and the IRS said some things needed to be corrected, so we corrected that and made the language appropriate, and resubmitted that. We have a checking account opened under Granite House, so if we do get any donations or things, and I'm keeping track of all of the papers. Developed an initial board, including a president, which I'm the president at this time, a manager, which is a past staff that I used to work with. Her name is Amy Fromm. And I've asked her to join me in this journey. And Arbor Mental Health, which is a local healthcare organization here, counseling organization, the couple that owns it, Dr. Chad and his wife, Christina, if we back up the story, and I should have put this as up there first, but this all started with me running into them at a bar. I was going to a bar out where I live to get food, and they were there, and they live in the area of Edgar where I live, and they knew me and started talking to me about this clubhouse thing, and they were like, we believe in your mission and your journey and your passion, and we want to help. And that's all that it took. And since that point, that's how we've gotten to this, with their support and their knowledge and their backing from the organization. Some of our group, of our initial board, participated in a 3-day virtual clubhouse training online with Clubhouse International on how to start a clubhouse in your community. So we had to come up with a case plan and things related to that. I wasn't able to attend, but I had Amy, who's going to be the manager, attend, along with Chad, his wife Christina, their partner at Arbor, and then 2 members of the clubhouse attended that. Been connecting with Yvonne down at the incubators. She has a mentor that she can connect with us to help us write business plans. So we have a solid business plan moving in, which will help us eventually with grant writing and fundraising. And met virtually with Lee Kellogg. He's from Clubhouse International. He's our mentor through Clubhouse International out of He's based in Michigan. Clubhouse International is based in New York City. But we just had a virtual meeting with him, Zoom meeting, to kind of talk about where are things at and what else can Clubhouse International do to help provide us support. So he's been sending us literature and other clubhouses in the country and in the world that have been where we're at and how they got to where we need to be and how we can collaborate together. As mentioned, we met with Mayor Rosenberg. I attended a meet and greet with Senator Tammy Baldwin last week for her kickoff. Met a lot of great people there and shared with her what we're doing, and it was just a really brief thing, but she has connected me with some of her people in Madison and Milwaukee, so we're communicating on that. What can that look like at a state level? Been working with Karen Hocking for looking for available space, because that's our big thing is we need brick and mortar. Networking and supporting, and created a list of supporters, and we sent out an email, and we're doing a meet and greet on February 9th at Whitewater Music Hall. So basically this presentation I'll be doing again to a lot of our people that attended our listening session at the old place, and to share where we're at and how can they help. And then of course we've been looking at grants and for available sustainability. So why are you here? Why am I here? You've in some way, shape, or form have been a supporter. I see a lot of you nodding your heads, and I know a lot of you, we're through that journey of where the last one went. You're the stakeholders in this, the city of Wausau, the community, Marathon County, everybody that was devastated and hurt by the closing are all stakeholders in this journey. And, you are people that have connections, and how can you help us and what can you provide me and my group and this new journey, and we need you. So clubhouses really work because members need us and they need to feel needed, and it's a collaborative thing, it's collegial. There's no hierarchy of a member is up here and the staff is down here. Everybody is treated equally. So that's just how that thing works. So members need this thing to happen, but we also need you, and that's how this whole thing is going to happen. How could you possibly help? While we're working on getting a strong board, like you have the city council here, you have a strong city council of people in all different capacities that do different things. We're going to need a board filled with knowledge and a variety to gain the support and resources. I'm going to need grant writers, financial knowledge, budget assistance, legal advice, everything related to our business plan. So we move forward, we have something solid for that. So what's next? Once we receive that 501c3, it can be full steam ahead, because then we can really get our board formed, we can reach out to Yvonne, get our mentor, get a solid business plan written up and going, and start writing those grants and see what's available. And then we want to create an annual fundraiser. The last program, I don't know how to refer to the last program, the other one, because we don't want to be affiliated in any way, shape, or form with North Central any longer. As we're moving forward, this is brand new. This is a clubhouse model, but it's not going to be affiliated that way. So we want to redo a fundraiser that we used to have back with the old place. It was called Evening of Jazz, and it was a way to collaborate with local food vendors and things, and bring the community to a nice, fun evening and raise money for the program. And an annual event is going to happen in order to help us provide sustainability. So, and then of course we're going to need stuff. We're pretty much starting from scratch. Yes, if we get this brick and mortar building, what we're looking at the old Knights of Columbus. Has a kitchen, it has enough space, it's on the bus line, it's accessible, a little dated. It has a bar in it. I don't know how great that would be, but some of our members looked at it and said, well, we used to have a thing called a snack shack that members ran, and we sold soda and chips and stuff. Well, they'd have a bar, and it's got coolers, and we could just cover up the tappers, because that could be a trigger for somebody that has a substance use or drinking issue. So maybe if we convert it a little bit so it doesn't look so much like a bar, it could potentially work for us. So we're meeting with Yvonne for a second viewing of this property Friday, and just kind of seeing where do we go from here, and possibly look at writing up a letter of intent for a lease. So Future goals of this whole thing would be to go back to really what a clubhouse is supposed to be. Being open Monday through Friday, paralleling typical business hours, 8 to 4, celebrating accomplishments and holidays with our members, be financially stable and sustainable, and having that future so that this thing can carry on. Reconnect with all our original members and grow our membership. Reconnect with all of our community partners and community outreach, which was a big thing that we did in the past too. We need the partnerships, can't do without. Hold open houses so the communities and partner can come and see us. What is this thing all about? Celebrate a ribbon cutting. Maybe at the chamber there, and we'll do a ribbon cutting again. Potentially again be Clubhouse internationally certified, where we truly meet Clubhouse standards, and they send a training group by us, and they evaluate us and make sure we're meeting everything. And then we could look into some other funding streams, like collaborating with Department of Voc Rehabilitation or inclusive contracts or something like that for possible revenue. So I don't think anything's out of the question. So, which leads us to questions.
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Tuck.
Thanks, Mike. Good presentation. Do you foresee your footprint being similar to what you had before? Or do you see it being free from the old tie will get you something different?
We need to be free from the footprint of what it was, and we need the community to know that this is a clubhouse, but it's going to be a freestanding entity. Like we having been affiliated before for so many years with North Central Healthcare and an hospice agency, there's some bad ties to that, and I think there's still some bitterness and hurt and things across the community and with our members. So we want to do exactly what we were doing before as far as what we're going to provide to members, having a strong work order day for members, having a place for them to go, following the 37 standards that are set by Clubhouse. It's just going to be us really having a true clubhouse is what the goal is, if that answers your question or makes sense.
Sure. So this clubhouse accreditation, it's like a affiliate. You're an affiliate or a franchise of the Clubhouse International.
What the clubhouse accreditation is clubhouses are set by these 37 standards that were developed by members and staff, and it's based on membership, how to become a membership, how we build relationships, what our work order day looks like, what people do there, how we do it together. When they send a team to do that evaluation, they go through every standard, they interview staff, they interview members, they interview community people, anybody affiliated with it, and they basically kind of tear down each one of those standards to find out, are you doing really good at, is membership voluntary and without time limits is standard number one. They may ask you, are you here voluntarily? Does anybody make you come here? Are you forced to do anything that you don't want to do here? And if a member says, well, yeah, they told me I got to do this, then they are going to give us recommendations, or they might give us actual things that are required that we're going to have to work on underneath a plan in order to meet that accreditation. So it's just a way to make us really true to what the model of Clubhouse is and hold us accountable, that if we're saying we're a true clubhouse and we say we follow these 37 kind of guidelines, that we're doing it.
Thanks, Mike. And one more question.
Sure.
What are your former members doing now and while they're waiting for you to spool back up?
Sure, good question. I know it was brought up in several meetings that we didn't have that many members that were attending, which wasn't necessarily true. We didn't have a lot of lunch people there, but that didn't mean we weren't serving 10 to 20 people a day. Some of those members, we connected with Connie at the Marathon County Literacy Council, and she was gracious to open up her space and allow our members to go there. Anybody that was comfortable going there and could meet, but some members that I've met with personally or chatted with in our Facebook group share that they're not doing anything because that doesn't feel like they're home. They don't feel like they belong there. They're kind of judged, and at a clubhouse, you're not judged. You feel like if I have a mental illness and you have a mental illness and you do, we're all equal. But at the Marathon County Literacy Council, their focus is literacy, and sometimes people will come into the space that was identified for the members, and it's, you need to be quiet, I'm trying to study, so there's been some few little things that have happened there, so I think some members have just decided, I'm going to wait because I don't feel comfortable there. So in my opinion, I think a lot of the members are isolating and they're not doing anything. They're really waiting for this thing to be back open so that they can get their lives back in order and get back on their journey of recovery.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Thank you. I guess just a comment, I mean, how inspiring to see that the clubhouse model is starting to gel on its own. I think we all shared the sentiment here at the council when the financial decision was made to stop funding the clubhouse that caused it to close. We were all keenly aware that the people who needed the clubhouse, their needs haven't changed and they've not gone anywhere. They're still here. And, we may find that within other social programs that those same needs will put pressure on other things that those entities are still funding. The needs aren't leaving the community. And so I think to have a place where people can go and get the services that they were getting at the clubhouse, the sooner the better, fantastic. I certainly would hope that as the funding cycles open for both United Way and for Block Grant, that we see those applications for consideration, because often our citizen panel that approves at least Block Grant is looking for nonprofit things that are perhaps new that could become self-sustaining, that may need assistance with certain facets of their program. And so whether or not it's a fit, that panel would have to determine. But I think that there are ways that they and we can help, and I think that there's ways that the community can help. And hopefully the new clubhouse model is bigger and better than the last one. So good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think just one final note. One question that was brought up to me was, do you have funding now? Like, where are you at with that? And I do have some initial donated funding through Arbor Mental Health has been gracious, and they're looking at a donation to get us started. But I've also I've also been in contact with Gary Olson, the new executive director of North Central Healthcare, because at the closing of the last program, we had a chunk of money that was there underneath clubhouse donated funds. That was money donated to the members. That was money donated specifically for that program. And I asked at the end of my reign to Mr. McBain, what are you going to do with that money? So he made a promise to me that he would hold on to that money up to 12 months. It would only be accessible to whoever the executive director is, and they would potentially give it to something that was either similar or providing similar services as a clubhouse. So I was reaching out to Mr. Olson, and we're looking at scheduling a meeting this Friday to talk about it. So there's going to be a chunk of change there that we'll get back for this to move this clubhouse forward. So we have a little bit of startup money. We potentially could be even moving in a building as quick as March. I have some people that are telling me if this space works, if the old Knights of Columbus works, we will write you a check and we'll get you the lease and we'll get moving. But we'll have to see what that all looks like, because I'm working a full-time job at a different organization right now, but my manager, Amy, is not, so she has the time. But that'll be a lot to ask of one person to kind of get it going. But we're going to have to rely on the members more. They're going to have to really step it up and help, and that's how Clubhouse works. That's how they learn how to, develop all those skills. So,
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your passion and for stepping up amid everything else you have to do to do this.
thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you all your time. If you have any questions, you can always try to get a hold of me. So,
Sounds great.
all
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to pre-registered citizens for matters appearing on the agenda and other public comment. We have a couple. Number one is Bruce Grau.
I could listen to Mike all night long.
Careful, I might get back up there.
There you go. Be better received. Bruce Crow, 1115 North 10th Street. The same 18 we're used to seeing, they're different now. I'm always amazed at how many people that are homeless have jobs. These are the remarks of a veteran shelter volunteer. Nationally, chronic homelessness will continue to rise quickly, leaping 16% between 2020 and 22. But why? Permanent unemployment and inflation continue to rise. Within the next few years, the acceptable level of unemployment will jump 50%. Inflation won't go away, and neither will rising home prices. Expanding automation and technology eliminate good jobs for good. It takes almost 100 hours a week at a minimum wage job to afford an average two-bedroom in Wisconsin. Not overnight, here in Wausau, 46% of our residents now live at or below the ALICE level of threshold of poverty. The ratio of extremely low-income residents surpasses the state's. Hundreds await subsidized housing. There is a 4-year wait for one bedroom. A record number of people sought emergency shelter last year, and at least 393 individuals stated they faced housing insecurity last year. During a recent deep freeze, though the shelters didn't fill, several individuals and a family were found lacking shelter. This is a rapid, escalating, high-risk situation for our most vulnerable. What's the city done? One project has been to approve 50 units for rents ranging from $498 to $1,300 to be completed in 2 years. $220,000 single-family homes may be built along Thomas Street. While sheltering is extended to year-round, the total number of beds have dropped. The police outreach team has housed 16 people with variable retention success. They call for more case management and mental health crisis support. This is counseling. There is counseling available for first-time homeowners. Participation in a guaranteed basic income grant project was approved, but has yet to be implemented here. ARPA money has been spent on bubblers and light bulbs at a cost greater than that of a service-rich, self-governed tiny home village, while limited options for transitional and very low-cost housing exist. Of affordable housing task force recommendations, direct cash subsidies and land banking have yet to be approved. Looking at where we are, where we're headed, and what we've done, why aren't we doing the most for those needing the most? Especially with ARPA funding and successful models in cold weather climates. We need a coordinated, equitable plan yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda Ledecky.
Hi, Amanda Ledecky. I am the Outreach Director with the Community Outreach Task Force. I am just here to give an update from our experiences the last 2 weeks to inform you on some gaps we've seen, our experiences, and possibly a solution for when it comes to sheltering with the weather approaching. Our group has had nightly calls and messages from agencies and concerned citizens regarding our unhoused citizens and places for them to stay and mental and physical health concerns. There's still a lot of requests for hotel stays. We know there is a gap regarding available beds. I do want to clarify some information, as we've had a lot of people reach out regarding Salvation Army. They didn't ask me to speak on it, so bear with me on this. But Salvation Army is a program-based shelter. They're not like the warming center. So you can't go in tonight and then not go tomorrow night. It is at minimum a 30-day program that the clients go in to help get them back on track. There are 18 men's beds available. There are 4 women's and 6 family units. So when people say that Salvation Army is at capacity, we have to be careful with that. Because if they have 3 men's beds available, they're not technically at capacity. But if we're trying to house female clients and the 4 beds are taken, they are at capacity. So it can be a little misleading, and I don't mean in a bad way. It's just making sure we understand where all the numbers truly lie, and that might help figure out where some of these gaps are. And 6 family units, those are pretty much booked all the time, every time at least I have called. That's my experience. They also do shelter the families, so we have to remember their intake rules are completely different than warming centers also, because there are kids involved in the situation, so not everybody's available. I did have a quick solution. I am running out of time. For when it comes to housing, I know with the deep freeze coming on, I don't know if it's possible, and maybe this is out of the realm, but with the CPC building, I know that there are meeting rooms, and that new front room with the hand mural, is that possibly something we could open up since our clients are used to going there if we do need additional rooms? And then quickly, we've actually had a lot of clients reach out that would like to come and talk to you all. I don't know if how the cow meeting all works, if that's a good place for them to go and talk, but they want to have communication with everybody. So if we can have them voice their opinions and let you know their stories, and maybe you can ask questions. Sometimes the best way to find the answers is to ask the ones living through it. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy Couch?
My name is Sandy Couch. I'm the Executive Director of the Community Outreach Task Force. I wanted to speak tonight on the need for a tiny home village with case management and trauma-informed services, and I really appreciate it that Chief Blivens had included that in his presentation. However, with the upcoming weather, I changed what I'm going to talk about tonight. In the last 6 days, we have been called 3 times to assist with sheltering women, and they were older women, all considered seniors. This was due to the shelters being full, and with the approaching bitter, dangerous temperatures, we will have many seeking shelter that we haven't had this week. Where is the overflow going to go? Since the recent staff change this past week, the warming shelter has been over capacity on pretty much a nightly basis. Last night, I believe 5 were turned away at intake. Last time we were able to hotel those unable to shelter. This deep freeze we're not. We don't have the resources to do so. And also it's going to last a lot longer. In the past, we have not had to worry about this issue. When Tracy was at Catholic Charities at the old building, she found ways to stay open to keep everybody safe. And we just don't have that right now. One of the cases that we responded to this week took a collaborative effort of 2 concerned citizens, the Community Outreach Task Force, Tom Killian, 2 wonderful paramedics, and Officer Grund. The solution that we had to accept was not ideal, and it wasn't what any of us wanted. However, the individual was safe and warm, and that was the most important thing to us. I contacted Tracy, and she is working on the case now. So it's basically a village effort and continues to be a village effort, and we are happy to be a part of that and be a part of the solution. I believe the same effort is needed to get through this and future weather-related crises. We need all agencies to extend their services and open their doors. However, this is not enough. If codes, policies, and lack of staff prevent the agencies from covering, we need more. Other states and communities have opened warm spots, places for the unhoused to go who are unable to shelter. In some communities, it is the post office lobby, community centers, the fire department, and even the lobby of law enforcement agencies. Catholic Charities is currently still leasing their old building, and so I'm suggesting that maybe we use that as an overflow, and the Community Outreach Task Force can assist in finding volunteers and providing food. I asked the council tonight to be involved now to plan for the deep freeze, and also ask for future to set conditions on money given to agencies, conditions such as providing overflow shelter in time of emergency weather. If those conditions aren't met, the money needs to be repaid. It is time we all lay down our swords and egos and work together. Our most vulnerable may not be your child, sibling, parent, or loved one, but remember they are someone else's. So please do what you would want those to do for your own. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we are now on the consent agenda, starting from file 230101 through 010217 from plan. I'll take a motion to accept. I'm sorry. Okay, motion by Watson, second by Hinkie. Ready to vote? We don't discussion consent.
You may begin voting. Motion passes 10-0.
Okay, thank you. Onwards, file 23-0103, mayor's appointments. We have 2 in the business bid board, Gizo Urgemelli, Devin Marks, and then we have a new task force, the Solar Array Project Task Force. These are initial appointments. Chad Henke, John Robinson, Jay Caldwell, Paul Fitlick, and Susan Woods. We have a motion by Watson and a second by Herbst. Any discussion or comments? All right, to vote.
You may begin voting. Motion passes 10-0.
File 21-1109 from Finance, a resolution modifying the budget for American Rescue Plan Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund funded projects. The firefighters' position was approved 3-0. We have a motion by Watson, a second by Denny. Any discussion? Okay.
You may begin voting. Alder Larson.
Alder Larson, yeah.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you. File number 21-1204 from Plan, resolution amending the general development plan at 415 South First Avenue to allow for a 56-unit multifamily apartment building in a PUD, planned unit development zoning district. It was approved 7-0 by Plan. We have a motion by Herbst and a second by Watson. Any discussion? Alder Larson?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just curious, there was some kind of funding issues with this, why this hasn't gone through in the past year. Has that been resolved with the I think the $1.5 million they were requesting from some agency for funding on this? I don't recall which one. Thank you.
We have Trent on WebEx. Can you answer that, Trent?
Yeah, absolutely. So last year we put this project in. We put this project in for a competitive tax credit allocation through the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority. And it just so happened that last year, in the particular set-aside for which we applied, which is the small urban, it includes cities like Wausau, Sheboygan, Wisconsin Rapids. They were supposed to give 20% of the credits to that set-aside, and only ended up giving about 10, and the project wasn't funded. So we're coming back this year with a revamped project. And with that gap financing in place that we applied for in conjunction with the city, is that $1.75 million grant. We have secured that. It's specifically for this site, and we're actually in the process of applying again at the end of the week. So I guess, yes, and yeah, we'll be putting in an application for this project again on Friday. And in addition to applying in the one small urban set-aside, we're also applying in 2 other set-asides because we want to make sure that this project gets funded. So we're using up more of our internal capacity to just make sure that this gets done.
So you're saying, Trent, that funding has not fully been, the resources aren't there quite as of yet? But they will be.
So that's how all of these kind of affordable housing tax credit projects work, is you put together a project proposal, and then you submit it to WIDA based on a scoring kind of basis, and they take all these different projects and evaluate them every year, and allocate it to the highest scoring projects. And, you know, we feel we have upped our score this year. We brought on another partner, and we've taken all the available points, and we think that, you know, we're in a strong position to get an allocation this year. And we're also putting it in, like I said, not just one set aside. There are several different competitions within the tax credit program. And last year we were only able to put it in for one because of how late the project came to us in the cycle. But this year it'll be considered under 3 different set asides.
Thank
so we'll
you.
have 3 different kind of shots at the apple, if you will, to get this project funded.
Thank you, because everybody here wants to see this funded, I'm sure wants to see this fully funded and go through. Thank you.
As do we. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, it looks like we're ready to vote.
You may begin voting. Motion passes 10-0.
On to file number 21-1204, same number, plan, resolution amending the general development plan at 415 South First Avenue to allow for a community service facility on the ground floor in a PUD planned unit development zoning district. This was approved 6-0 in plan. We have a motion by Lukens and a second by Watson. Any questions or concerns?
You may begin voting. Okay. Motion passes 10-0.
Okay. And we're on to public comments. Any further public comments tonight? One, going twice, gone. Okay, we're on to adjournment. I'll take a motion to adjourn. We have a motion by Watson, a second by Henke. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.